Bay, and it had lots of woodland, had their own water system, and Grandpa had a lot of ducks and small animals that he took care of when he wasn't working in the pharmacy. Do you remember anything more about their life in Coos Bay?
I do, because I didn't get to see that house, and I always heard great stories about it because I came along 10 years after you, and I missed that part. But I do remember that if you and I, when we were children, ever sneezed around him, because he was the pharmacist, oh my gosh, out came the liniment bottle. And so you and I always were like, never let him see you sneeze, never let him see you blow your nose, because you didn't want to have to take some of his doses, you know, that he would come after you with. And I think just another thing to remark on is Aunt Mary, Dad's sister. Is this the time to
go
talk
right ahead.
about Aunt Mary? She was a little bit older than Dad. Apparently, just the parents adored her, and she was quite the belle of Coos Bay, and very flamboyant. 3 marriages, lived life very large, and we're talking
No children.
No children. A lovely person, but she was quite unusual in her day because women didn't exhibit that kind of independence, and she really danced to her own music and did it her whole life in this little tiny town, and she was quite remarkable. I've always been interested in her.
That's fine. Good stuff.
She was in Coos Bay the whole time?
I think she exhibited tendencies like the rest of the family, adventures here and there, but for all of them, that family, Coos Bay was considered home.
Well, anyway, Grandpa back in Coos Bay, and he opens a pharmacy on Front Street. He sold it to a friend of his called Frank Cohan, and then he worked for a company called Wadham and Kerr, which was a wholesale grocer. Now here's a registered pharmacist in the grocery business to show you how flexible he was. And this was in 1945. He was 76 years old, and he had retired a few years earlier, but he was asked to help pharmacists all over Southern Oregon during his retirement years. So he was frequently in Reedsport, North Bend, Empire, Coquille, wherever he was needed. Did you remember that at all?
Not at all.
Edna, excuse me, not Edna. Edna is my stepmother. And I might as well go into that part of the story now.
She's from Coos Bay as well.
She's from Coos Bay.
It's a very interesting story.
Yeah, go ahead, you know it better than I do.
Our mother, whom we haven't talked about her family yet, was born in Coos Bay. Her family's from Coos Bay. The MacArthurs get there. Mom and Dad were high school sweethearts, but my mom's best friend growing up was Edna Reese, who later became our stepmother after our own mom passed. And so there again is the Coos Bay connection. Like it or not, it just keeps coming.
Finishing up on Grandma and Grandpa, my dad in 1945 was working for J. Gordon Turnbull in Cleveland, Ohio. They were a contracting company that was primarily building synthetic rubber plants in Tennessee at the time. And I was 8 years old in 1945, and I ended up going to junior high and high school in Cleveland before I came west to go to college. But finishing on Louise, my grandmother, Louise MacArthur, she was real active, and they called her a needlewoman in Coos Bay, which Michelle would love to hear, because she turned out 4 crocheted bedspreads and 5 tablecloths in one given year. She was very active in that area, and she was a divine cook. She planted beautiful gardens. She fashioned many of her own clothes, and she had the greatest heart and she was blessed with that Irish and Scotch ancestry, which we have all been able to inherit. That's kind of my MacArthur grandparents report. Do you have anything to add?
I think you covered all of it. Just to say that Louise was so loving and outgoing. Famous, as we said, dancer. They founded the Elks Club in Coos Bay, and that was their big deal, was dancing. And she was quite different than Grandpa. Grandpa was much more sober, and she was just a laugh and a half. And I do remember the crocheting, and she was your classic wonderful grandma.
Temperament City, huh?
Yes.
Okay, let's take a little break.
Let's call them MacArthur's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jared, I think it's...
And we're going.
This is Louise Harrison, our wonderful grandmother. And there she is. She probably crocheted that collar herself. And you can see by her smiling eyes, she's just a happy, lovely person. And I would guess by the hairdo, I would think that is probably in the 20s, would be my guess, 20s or 30s.
Do you remember when she was born, Sally?
I know Grandpa was born in 1869. And when you think about our grandparents just being born, and that's on Dad's side, Mom's parents were even older, but right after the Civil War. So it goes back quite a while.
Go.
Here we have Edwin and Louise's celebration in Coos Bay of their 50th wedding anniversary. It was a big family event, big event in the whole town. And our parents came from Cleveland to celebrate. And there's Edwin and Louise. And then if we drop down to this photo, same party, and there's the whole family. It's our dad, Bill, William MacArthur. There's our mom, Madge Marie. That's me. I'm 2 years old. This is Edwin, our grandpa. There's Louise. There's my big brother, Jimmy, who's 13 years old at the time. Very happy to be there. And there's the famous sister, Mary Louise.
Dad's sister, right? Yeah.
Dad's sister, Mary Louise. Miss Independence.
It's perfect, honey.
Perfect.
I don't think we're tired of my voice yet. Is it time for Jim?
We're recording.
You're awfully good, huh?
We have a picture here and a history of two of our most famous family relatives, the Harrisons. Benjamin and his father, this is a picture of Benjamin, his father was William Henry, two presidents. William Henry was known as Tippecanoe in Tyler too. He was only president for about 6 months. Benjamin had
what happened to him? Why was he only president for 6 months?
He died in office.
Oh.
And he died after giving a lengthy speech on a hot day in July. And he was only president 6 months. Benjamin went full term. And as we said, there aren't too many father-son teams in the history of the presidents of the United States. And I was actually invited to be a member of the Daughters of the American Revolution because of my connection to the two presidents. So it's a nice family.
Did you join?
No.
I received a Daughters of the American Revolution scholarship myself.
You did? Because of that?
Not because of that, because of outstanding scholarship.
Excellent.
Oh, Jared always
There's
came
some
through with the...
connection there.
Yes.
All right.
Okay. Say whatever you like.
Okay.
This is a good picture of my mom and dad. They're in a Chris Craft boat up at Finley Lake in the state of New York, a place that we used to frequently. This is a picture of our mom and dad, Bill and Madge, in Finley Lake in the state of New York, a place we frequented for vacations because it was within a 2-hour or 3-hour drive of Cleveland, Ohio, where we lived. Okay, that's that one.
And I think, remember, is
Okay, we're rolling.
Should we go right into here, Jay?
Yeah.
This is a picture of a Zeta Psi party at the University of Washington in the era of approximately 1930, 31. And it's called the Barn Burner party.
Annual barn burner party.
And Sally, you know some details of the party?
Well, I always thought this one was quite interesting because we know Mom and